Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to our live stream show for the Davis Joint Unified School District and Bea Group co-presented. This is our intern showcase. It is focused on a deep dive that our interns have been working on for the last 4 weeks. The internship was it started June 21st, and they've had a number of different sessions on social justice and equity in the workplace. They've had leadership, communication mastery. We did onboarding because they're employees of Bea Group. And so we're so excited. Today is our showcase and celebration. I'm June Bea, CEO of Bea Group, and I wanted to introduce my esteemed collaborative partner, Gary Pearson from the Davis Joint Unified School District. Hi, Gary.
Hi. Hopefully you can come. I'm on live. That's fantastic. It's just great to be part of this showcase. It's just amazing. I'm really looking forward to this. Gary Pearson's my name. I'm the Career Technical Education Grant Specialist, part of the sponsorship from Davis Joint Unified School District. And I work really hard to make sure this all happens. And I've worked with a fabulous team from the Bea Group. And I'm looking really forward to what's going to be presented today. I know it's going to be super exciting. And I'm really anticipating some great presentations. I'm here to listen and really enjoy what you guys have been doing. I know that June and your team and all of you and the interns, all of you guys have worked really hard at this, and just super appreciative of the time and the commitment all of you have made. I know it's summer, lots of people doing lots of different things. And again, I anticipate great presentations. And with that, hey, I'm looking forward to it. Let's go.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary. So we wanted to definitely thank the Davis Joint Unified School District, their board members, and this was made possible with some grant funding in career technical education from both the California Department of Education and the California Community College's Chancellor's Office. So special thanks to our deep dive leads who focused on product invention, Carmen Tovar, Kelly Cooper. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to the interns. So Danica, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Is my audio okay?
Yep, you sound great.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'll be giving an overview of our process as interns. We started off with the option of either improving a product that was rated a 6 out of 10 or creating an entirely new product. From there, our process was fairly straightforward. We began by talking with potential customers about our product ideas. Once we had a pretty good feel for what customers look for in a product, we started our prototype sketch. We then created our prototypes. They were then put to the test, issues were corrected, and we began our showcase presentations. Although we all followed a structured path, each intern has a unique story behind their product, which they will individually detail. Thank you. Right, my bad. Angela, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Danica. Okay, so I'm just gonna, I just wanna say thank you guys so much for joining us again today. And I'm just gonna introduce our first intern inventor, Felipe. You can.
Hello, my name is Felipe, and I'm a junior, a rising junior at Davis Senior High School. So for the Bea Group internship, I created the product Medgami. When I was coming up with an idea for my product, I knew that I wanted to create something that would help one of the United Nations goals. I chose well-being and health. I also wanted the design to include aspects from the Japanese paper folding art form of origami. I did research on the United Nations goal, and I also talked with an ER doctor that worked in the Air Force, of which I'd like to thank Rudy Zaragoza for his medical expertise and support. From all this, I secured the idea of creating a origami wrist and ankle splint for vulnerable populations in developing nations. The development process I used for this product was a two-phase cycle starting with prototyping and testing. In the prototyping phase, I came up with ideas and I researched the best ways to design a splint from a flat sheet of material. I then made those prototypes and tested them. Within the testing phase, I looked for what was wrong and what broke, and then also what worked and what I had to keep in the design. After those tests, I reflected upon them and I kept on making more prototypes, and the cycle continued. Here on the left, we can see my initial notes and sketches on how I thought the design should be. I then made a couple of starter prototypes and tested them. Again, the cycle continues, and I made more sketches and prototypes, and I as well tested those. From these initial cycles, I found out that the most important design points were to immobilize the joint, secure the joint in the optimal angle for healing, which is the neutral angle of the joint, and that the wrist splint has to follow the half arm rule, where the splint goes half the length of the arm. These cycles continue, and you can see on the top where I have sketches of potential ranges of motion of the joint, and I come up with ideas of how to limit that range of motion. I then made more prototypes based off of those ideas, and then I went on to my final cycle, in which I actually interviewed an orthopedic surgeon from New York City, Dr. David Newman, of which he gave me a lot of valuable insight of how to improve my designs and develop more ideas. An example of this is the 2-finger rule, where the wrist splint has to go 2 fingers below the first crease on the hand. These are my ending working prototypes. You can see the profiles I used and the dimensions I used to create each one of them. You can also see the physical model in those pictures. So the next steps I would take with this product are, first of all, some long-term tests to see how it holds up to wear and tear. I would also want to see how efficient and effective it is at what it's supposed to do. I also have ideas for individual modification. You can see in the top photo that the user would be able to put some sort of rod-like hard material under the straps to make the splint even stronger. And also on the right photo, you can see the sock goes beneath the splint to prevent irritation of the skin with the splint. And you can also, Velcro straps aren't the only option. The user will also be able to use whatever bandage material, whether it's ACE wrap or whatever they have around. I also have ideas for additional designs. This could possibly be a splint for the finger, and obviously more sizes would be developed, and these sizes would be based upon height, because height determines most of the proportions of bones in the body. Another product idea I have is stencils. So with stencils, people in a family or in a community would be able to produce these products, these splints on a small scale, and that would be useful for, instead of just buying one for each person, you could remake them. So instructions would eventually be printed on these products. Partly these instructions would include how to go around the medical healing process. So an example of that would be to put the arm or the wrist above heart level, and also to keep the splint on for a week or two, and things like that. And also the instructions would tell you how to fold the origami to make the splint. It would also say that each of these splints can be used for the right or left, just depends on how you fold the actual sheet. And then I also have ideas for having a website with all these resources. It would have blueprints for all the designs and sizes and stencils, just like you see in this bottom photo. And it would also, of course, have all the instructions. Talking in terms of business, this product would have little to no competition. I've done research and I have seen no products like this carrying out the idea successfully. And as I said, these target users would be vulnerable populations in developing nations. This would obviously benefit them a lot because they don't have stable access to healthcare, And since sprains and strains of the wrist and ankle are such common injuries, this would benefit them a lot. So marketing would be a very crucial part to the success of this product and company. My idea is to create a modern brand around the product so it appeals to the youth, and in doing so, it also spreads awareness about the United Nations cause. Ultimately, the goal would be to make it a popular idea to donate. So talking about product costs, we would offer a physical product and a digital template. The digital template would obviously be free, but for the physical product in the future, based on customer response, we would be looking to provide a low-cost delivery, which will be determined by country location. So my question to you is, how will Medgami help the United Nations cause? I appreciate your interest in my presentation, and I invite you to contact me through LinkedIn if you want to collaborate in the product development process. Thank you.
Thank you, Felipe. So our next intern inventor is going to be David.
Okay, is it all up?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is David Patridge, and for my product invention product, I have created Kinetic Pad. The inspiration
David,
behind my product.
Sorry, David, you're not showing on camera.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Second. Okay, there we go. Thank you. The inspiration behind my product is I got the idea with my dad in mind. He is a professional musician that specializes in drums. And as a musician myself, I know that practicing is a very crucial part to getting better as a musician. My target audience is schools for educational purposes. Kinetic Pad can be used to taught students in schools and in the music department. My second target audience would be students. When students get home, it would be nice to have a practice pad with them or something to practice with. So Kinetic Pad is the perfect product for them to get home and immediately start practicing and getting better at their instrument or percussion. Teachers can use Kinetic Pad to teach and to practice themselves. In the classroom, it would be nice that students could use it themselves, or just to have Kinetic Pad in the classroom would be nice for teachers to hand out or to teach themselves. Another use for Kinetic Pad is anyone with stress. I know that I have a lot of stress some days and that many other people have stress. Kinetic Pad can also be used to relieve stress, and it's nice to tap or hit just when you're feeling stressed out or anxious. I have 3 materials for Kinetic Pad, and the first one is kinetic sand. Kinetic sand is the main material that I've used for Kinetic Pad, and kinetic sand is a sand material that is soft and fun to play with. So I used it to get a different sound and different to have a different use out of the kinetic sand. I have a second material is clear silicone sheets. The silicone sheets are going to be what holds the kinetic sand in, and is what I use to keep the design nice and fun to look at. And so the clear silicone sheets are, you can see the kinetic sand while you're practicing. The last one is black silicone bond. I use silicone bond to bond the two two sides of the silicone sheets that I used together and to keep this kinetic sand inside and keep the whole product together. The building process was fairly simple, and for my sketch prototype, I have a graph paper where I have the outside ring, an inner ring, and the kinetic sand inside. The inner ring is what keeps the kinetic sand from falling outside of the edge or overflowing, and the outside ring is the top. I have the top and bottom outside ring. I made 4 prototypes. 2 of them were successful. I used the term silicone ring and silicone circle. As I said, I have the silicone ring to maintain everything and keep everything inside, and the 2 silicone circles top and bottom. The building process took somewhere around 2 hours, and that included waiting for silicone bond to dry. So it was a fairly quick process to make 4 prototypes. Testing and challenges. For testing, I left it outside for a few hours at a time for each prototype to see how they are in different temperatures. So if a person that bought my product or left it outside for hours at a time, they could come back to it and it wouldn't be ruined or destroyed. I used different amounts of kinetic sand to see if that would affect the sound of when you would practice or play it. And I tried Gorilla Glue for 2 of the prototypes, and those 2 prototypes were not successful. The Gorilla Glue had a weird effect to the silicone, and the 2 pictures on the right are, oh, sorry, actually that's a different part. The challenges is what, or the 2 pictures on the right are the non-successful prototypes. I started with oobleck. That was my first material that I used before I switched to kinetic sand, and it didn't really work out because I figured out that oobleck does not last long before it goes bad. After it goes bad, it has a weird texture and doesn't have the same texture that you get when you first create it, and it also has a weird smell after multiple days. So on the right, I have the prototypes that I used with oobleck, that I made with oobleck, and I had to actually throw those out because the smell got too bad. Thank you for listening.
All right, thank you, David. So I'm the next presenter. My name is Angela Voss, and I'm going to be a senior next year at Davis High School. Okay, everyone. So the name of my product is called Canker Soothe. And basically what it is it is a product to help heal and soothe canker sores when you have them. So what are canker sores? Canker sores are, if you guys have ever gotten those little sores inside your mouth, they're just like a small little sore inside. They can be on your gums, on your tongue, around your mouth, and they can be caused by stress, vitamin deficiency, or if you're sick, they can get triggered by them. And the reason why I was inspired to make this product is because whenever I was younger, I would always get canker sores when I had a cold, or if I was really stressed, like around a stressful time, I would always get canker sores. And I was never really able to find a product that I could truly depend on and be like, this is my product that I love. So I wanted to make one that I could depend on. So Canker Soothe is a small pouch that comes inside of a tea bag material. And the tea bag material allows for whatever inside, and I'm gonna use like herbal remedies. It allows for them to have a slow release inside your mouth to help soothe and heal the canker sores. And what's really cool about this product is the pouch. When it gets wet inside your mouth, it sticks to the surface, so it doesn't fall out, it doesn't move around. You can still talk to people with it in, you can still drink water. It's really comfortable and it's not super bulky or anything. So here are some of the pictures of the products. In the top left-hand corner is a picture of the tea bags I'm using for Canker Soothe. And what's really cool about these tea bags is to make the Canker Soothe, you don't have to use glue or anything that will upset your mouth. They're actually made to cut and put the product inside, and then you just seal them with heat. So what I used is an iron, but you could probably use a hair iron or anything with heat to apply pressure on it to make it seal. But there's no glue or tape or anything that'll be harmful for the mouth. In the middle picture are the 3 products that I'm using to help soothe the canker sores. I'm using German chamomile, zinc tabs, and then I'm going to cut them up and have powder, and then licorice root powder. And then in the right-hand picture are all the powders together outside of the packaging. So some of my of the existing products and competition I have right now is Oragel. It's the #1 selling canker sore medication at the moment, but all it does actually is address pain, and it numbs the tongue, because when you put it on the sore, a lot of times when you talk a lot or eat food or use your mouth, the gel will spread around, so it can get your tongue numb, it can taste really bad, and it's just not very pleasant. And Canker Soothe doesn't just address pain, but it also addresses healing from the herbal remedies. And it doesn't numb your tongue, it doesn't upset your mouth at all, it just stays there. It's very versatile. Right now, the product has a really neutral, subtle taste, but if customers in the future wanted to have it like a peppermint flavor or a honey flavor or something, we could totally do that with this product. So I did some surveys with 3 of my friends that also have canker sores. They all want to stay anonymous, so we're just gonna be calling them person number 1, person number 2, and person number 3 today. But the first question I asked is, do you currently use medication to help treat your canker sores? And 2 of them said no, they just let them be there and don't really do anything. One of the person said yes, and she uses the Oragel, which I was talking about in the slide earlier. The second question I asked is, would you be interested in an all-natural product? Just like all natural, good for the environment product. And all 3 of them said yes to that question. And the third question I asked is, would a product that comes in a patch, like a pouch, be of interest to you rather than the gel? And they said, one of them said maybe, she wasn't really sure. She was like, I don't know. And then the other 2 of them said yes, they would be interested in a pouch product. So I'm just gonna go over some of the ingredients that I used. The first one I used is German chamomile. And what German chamomile does is it helps reduce inflammation of the scar, and then it also speeds up the wound healing. The second one I used is zinc. And what zinc does is it helps your immune system fight off bacteria, and it helps the healing process speed up. And the licorice root powder is the last one I used, and it's a huge pain relief, so it'll really help the pain, and it also helps soothe the sore and with healing. So with all 3 of these products, you're gonna get healing of the canker sore, plus you're gonna get soothing, so it's gonna help reduce pain, so it'll help heal and reduce pain. The cost of my prototype, so for all 4 of the products I bought to help make my invention, it was $42 in total. All 3 of the powders were $10 and the tea bags were $12. And my estimate is that with all of this, it'll probably be around 200 pouches that I can make. And I am planning on selling my product with 14 in a kit of 14 pouches and $15 for the whole thing. So here are some of the pictures of when I was making my invention. So as you can see here in that brown bowl, I have all the powders mixed up together, and then I just spooned it into the tea bag. And then I ironed it in the middle picture right there. And then what I ended up doing is cutting it in half to make my little square as the last one. And then here's the final picture of my pouches. As you can see, they're not super bulky. They're pretty flat. They're really comfortable in the mouth. And yeah, that's Canker Soothe. Thank you guys so much for listening and taking your time to listen. Thank you. So our next intern inventor is going to be Paras.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Paras Sudjan. I'm an incoming junior at Davis Senior High School, and I'm really excited to share with you my product, Find My. First, I would like to start with a story. A couple of Fridays ago, I was getting ready for movie night, so I get all comfortable on the couch, and I'm about to put on the show, and I realize I cannot find the remote. So I proceed to look around for 10 minutes, yes, 10 minutes, and can you guess where it was? Right next to me, hidden in the folds of my blanket the entire time. You can imagine that I was pretty frustrated. And this sort of situation happens to a lot of my friends and family that I've talked to, where you can't find your phone or your remote or your reading glasses. And then people ask you, did you lift up the couch cushions or did you check under the pillows? And overall, it's a time-consuming and frustrating process. So I thought to myself, what was something I could do so that I always have my remote or phone on me at all times? Hence, Find My, a blanket with a built-in storage pocket so you never have to lift a couch cushion or a pillow again. I began with an initial sketch that included all of the materials I would need, like a zipper and fabric to create a pocket inside of the blanket, a blanket, and knitted elastics to hold remotes on the outside. Moving on to building the prototype, I began by cutting 3 pieces of fabric. The 2 bigger pieces would act as the actual pocket, and the smaller one would be an inner pocket to store smaller items. I then folded the edges to create a cleaner look and glued the inner pocket to 1 piece of fabric. I then glued the 2 pieces of fabric together to create the pocket and added a zipper on top. I then measured out 3 pieces of knitted elastic to fit 3 different size remotes and attached them to the front of the blanket. Here is my final product. You can see that here is the pocket located inside of the blanket very discreetly with the 3 knitted elastics on top. You can store your electronics, books, or smaller items inside the inner pocket, all while holding 3 remotes at the same time. While blankets are used by every generation, some more specific target audiences would be people who live in cold weather, who stay at home often, avid TV watchers like myself, and people who tend to lose things pretty often. In terms of competition in the market, a few products that provide similar services as the Find My blanket are the Cuddle Wrap, which is a blanket that has 2 pockets on each side. While this pocket provides some storage, the pockets are more like the ones that you would find on a jacket and not very secure for holding your items. On the other hand, Find My has a zipper and a big storage pocket to carry everything that you need. The next competition product is a hoodie pillow. Similar to the Cuddle Wrap, it also has a jacket-like pocket to store a remote or your phone, but again, not as big as the Find My pocket, and there's no zipper to keep your items secure. So Find My is the less expensive option and still provides comfort and seamless storage inside of the blanket. After averaging prices of blankets from common big chain stores like Target, Walmart, and Costco, a blanket on average costs $17. When you add that to the cost it takes to make the pocket, and Find My blanket on average would cost $25.97. While designing this product, it was brought to my attention that some people are pretty attached to the blankets they already have. I know I am, so they might not want to buy an entirely new blanket for this storage option, which is why a future Find My product that could be invented would be a pocket attachment. It would have all of the storage that comes built into a Find My blanket, but you would easily be able to attach it using clips on the side of the pocket so that your blanket isn't damaged. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Paras. Our next intern inventor is Danica.
Hello, my name is Danica Greiner, and I am a senior at Davis Senior High. Share my screen. There we go. Just before we start, I have subtitles available due to my mom having some difficulty with hearing. I have two product inventions. On the left is the Sustain Grip cutting board, and on the right is the Spicy Light pepper spray. The first of these inventions is the Sustain Grip cutting board. The invention is not the cutting board as a full unit, but in fact a silicone band going around this cutting board in order to prevent sliding on countertops. The reason for this product is because throughout my life, my dad has chopped the tip of his thumb off 3 times. This could be helped if it didn't slide around on the countertop so much. The original product, there is both an original product and an original life hack. The life hack is to wet a paper towel and place it underneath your cutting board. This can make a mess oftentimes and doesn't always work and is a waste of paper towels. The product itself is a wooden cutting board or plastic with rubber stands. Either it comes with rubber stands built in or you screw rubber stands onto the cutting board itself. This can be ineffectual though, because you end up only using one side of the cutting board. I find that there is no use to a cutting board if you're only using one side. So the solution is a silicone band that fits around as a universal piece. Throughout my interviews, I asked if potential customers find that cutting boards slide or wiggle too much. The general consensus was yes, that they do. And I asked then, what is something that you look for when buying a cutting board? A majority of customers looked for durability, either a wood cutting board or a plastic cutting board that doesn't stain or scratch as much. I then asked, how could a cutting board's issues be improved in your eyes? Majority of the answers were something that doesn't stain or scratch. The first stage in this was figuring out how to get my silicone to stick together. I tried hot glue, but hot glue does not work on silicone. So I then got inspiration from physicians who practice sutures on Silpat, which is just a thicker silicone box. This did work. It's not as great as the Silpoxy that is a bonding agent that would keep silicone together, but it did work. My next stage was then cutting out pieces of a silicone mat to place around my cutting board. The first attempt did not work. The size was incorrect. It didn't have enough room on the cutting board. It only fit around the sides, not underneath. So I then measured out a larger area for my cutting board and with an inch border on the inside. I then taped it down and made sure that I could cut the corners to make them form against the cutting board. And here's my final prototype. This first prototype was a failure. Not a complete failure though. The issue was tension. It worked as a slide-proof grip. It didn't slide on countertops, but if you had something like chicken juice, any meat, tofu, it would get caught in the slides or in the sides between the grip. The ways that I would improve this in the future is to use Silpoxy or another agent that is a silicone binder, or to find liquid silicone and use a ring mold. That way it would create enough tension to fit around the board or around the cutting board as a uniform piece. My target audience for this was anybody who cooks or is looking for safe kitchenware as a gift. The second prototype is the Spicy Light pepper spray. This is a pepper spray with a flashlight on it. The reason for this product is because we have been having rising crime rates within this past year. I find that I need to be safer when walking my dog at night, but it can be an issue carrying both a flashlight or my phone with a flashlight on, pepper spray, and my dog's leash all in both hands. It becomes a bit clunky. It would be easier if it was together. which brings me on to the original product. The original product comes as two separate items, either a flashlight or pepper spray. This is too much to carry. If you're in an unsafe area, it can leave you vulnerable. So the solution is to consolidate the two, and I added a wristband for extra support. My interview for this one was, have you ever found yourself in an unsafe situation where you felt you couldn't do anything? Generally, the potential customers didn't find themselves in an unsafe situation, but they would like safety equipment. I asked what they look for when buying safety supplies. They tend to look for something that is inconspicuous, durable, and has high lethality, or potential for damage, but not killing someone. I asked how pepper spray could be improved upon in their opinions. They said something with a UV dye or a higher capsaicin in pepper spray. Luckily, I found a pepper spray that had both UV dye, higher capsaicin, and tear gas in it. The first attempt for this was placing the flashlight, which was an easy thing since the flashlight came with an adhesive backing. But my first attempt, I placed the flashlight on the front. This caused an issue since my hand covered the flashlight. I then went on to adding the keychain, which was creating a hot glue attachment for the keychain and gluing it onto the mace. The keychain that I chose was a quick release keychain for safety reasons. If someone comes at you hoping to take the pepper spray from you, you can click it and run away to safety. The next stage was then adding on the wristband, which was also easy, of just looping it around the keychain. I then added on a clip so that you can keep your pepper spray on your purse, backpack, or in a pocket. And here's the final prototype. The issues with my final prototype is that the flashlight had a switch on the bottom. This meant that the flashlight couldn't stand up on its own, so it would be easier if the flashlight was something more uniform and continuous with the pepper spray. The target audience for this is anyone, but more specifically, college students who find themselves in new environments on unsafe campuses, or anybody who runs during dark hours, whether that be the morning or night. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Danica. Our next product inventor is Berenice.
Hi, my name is Berenice Silva, and I am a rising junior at Davis Senior High School. So for my product invention project, I made beeswax candles. Why beeswax candles? The reason why I named my candles beeswax candles was because my name is Berenice, but growing up, I've been called so many different names since many people can't pronounce my name correctly. I go by Bede, which is short for Berenice, so I thought of putting my name into the product name to give it a unique name like mine. And so that it could have different sayings such as beeswax candles and beeswax candles. My initial thoughts were to make candles because I'm a big fan of candles. And I wanted to make candles because my mom's friend Claire has her own apiaries and she offered to give me the beeswax to make things easier for me, and it really helped a lot. Another reason why I decided to make candles was because my Aunt Mary, who has her own candle business, offered to help me make my candles as well. Having these two friends as resources really made things easier for myself and to not have to buy things for my project. My target audience is to help reduce plastic use worldwide and to get those who like essential oils to use candles as well. I also want to help others save money, and I want to make natural candles for those who are sensitive to fragrances as well. I interviewed a couple of friends and put the responses into my slides, and most of the responses I got were very similar. My first question was, do you see business growth for this product? Many people said yes, because you can use candles for your house, as gifts, and lots of other things, such as instead of buying the plug-in essential oils that run out very quickly. Other people said yes. Some people use candles very often, so a candle business would definitely grow very quickly. Other people mentioned that candles are often too strong or don't have enough fragrance. So adding the right amount of fragrance on the candles would be nice because it can be very annoying at times. Or just having different types of candles, such as some of that are just natural and don't have any fragrance involved, such as toxins, would be nice as well. So my sketch prototype was just some sort of idea on the materials I bought and that I used to make my candles. Here are a few photos of what making the candles was like. So I bought crayons, essential oils, wicks, and mold for my candles. I started off by melting the beeswax onto a pan. And once the beeswax was melted enough to get a good chunk, I added color to my beeswax. I decided to add red since red is a very strong color and began by adding a few crayons in. After I put the crayons in and they completely melted, I began to add essential oils to add a little scent to my candles. I added just enough so that you can still smell the beeswax and the essential oil at the same time, since I didn't want to have too much of fragrance to the point where you can get headaches. Before putting the wax in, I added a hole to my wick and added butter spray to my mold as well, so that the beeswax wouldn't stick. I also made the holes so that my wicks wouldn't move to the side and so that they would stay still with the paper clip I added to them. Once I put the wax in and finished everything successfully, I let my candles sit there for about an hour just to make sure that they were completely dry. Once I came back for the results, my candles had lost their color, so I guess it was kind of a failure, but I was still happy with the result. Thank you. Oh, wait. Oh, my next steps. My next steps are to make more candles and to improve on my work. I want to tell people about my candles, and I want to start my own candle business in the future. I want to measure the right amount of color for my candles in the future as well. And I want to work with others and get as many people as possible to help me grow this business. Thank you.
Thank you, Berenice. Our next intern inventor presenting is Oliver.
Is my camera working?
No, Oliver.
Oh, there we go. So my name is Oliver Mahoney, and over my course of my internship, I created, you have to press, there we go, a smart card and a smart wallet. So the problem, so as I went out to downtown Davis, small friends gatherings, and out about in the world since COVID has been lifted a bit, I saw many people using gift cards, large sums of cash, and that can lead to stolen money, important information being stolen and losing your wallet. And it's a lot of work to get all your stuff back and cancel your old debit cards, credit cards, and you're losing money, so you can't get that back. So some questions I asked before I moved on with my idea. Have you ever lost your wallet? Has anyone stolen money from your wallet? Do you carry cash with you? And do you carry credit cards or a debit card where you go? And for most of the answers for most of the people I talked to, they answered yes to at least one of these questions. So the solution, create a smart wallet similar to Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, or Google Pay, but this time would have a lock mechanism feature with either a fingerprint or a lock, like I said earlier, and you wouldn't have to carry your cards with you because your cards would be on the wallet or the smart card, which will be the downsized version of the smart wallet. So my target audience, people who have credit cards, people who have cash, people who travel, and public transportation. All these people are traveling and they're at high risk of losing their wallet and their credit cards, and having a way to minimize what you're carrying on you will help them a ton. And then I'm really bad at sketching, so my original idea was to have just a credit card, and I was thinking, hey, you could add a wallet to it. So I created a mini wallet. I didn't really like my sketch. I went into in more depth feature with a little motherboard into the credit card, making it a little bit more thicker than a normal card, and then having a wallet with the same motherboard to be more bulkier, which is another problem. Unfortunately, I didn't able to finish the wallet because my magnets didn't work and I didn't know how to add a lock feature. So it looked something like this. And then on the middle part, you see the credit card and the motherboard, and that would just stack on top of each other. And then to the most right, you can see a motherboard that's super thin, and those can fit in the credit card. So it's not a big deal of bulkiness for the card. So some problems we have with the app and security wise. So security, that's one of the big things when you're creating an app and you're putting information onto a device. So I would need to find a way to create a safe cloud storage or a data center where all the information will be stored. Size, with the credit card, with all the components, the card might be bulky. So I have to figure out a way to size that down. And then weight and options. If it's too heavy, I have to go with other options, different materials, and that might be a long production going back and forth with multiple prototypes. So some competitions, there's RFD, which no RFIDs, and basically what that is, it prevents people from stealing your credit card information. So if you were to carry your credit card in the smart wallet, they wouldn't be able to tap into your credit cards. And basically RFIDs, what it does, it blocks a signal. So if people are on their computer, they can't hack into your credit card and steal your information. And these are what the competition's smart wallets look like. And then going forward, so what I've learned throughout this internship is identity, anti-bias, and anti-racism, power and privilege, affinity groups, and dealing with difficult people. If I were to create a team, I want to make sure that everybody's feeling safe. So making sure we're using the right pronouns, learning about each other's cultures, so the workplace is super clean and easy to work with. Affinity groups, having groups of people come together and have a place where they can go talk and they feel safe instead of sitting in their box and not talking to anybody. And everyone is a difficult person. So understanding that on some projects you would have to communicate, work with them, and sometimes step down and have another person take up on that job because they are better than you. And that's ensured with other people that you're working with. So if they understand all of these things, we can have a safe and environment in the workplace. Thank you for listening, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Oliver. Our next intern inventor is Ibrahim.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Amir. I am currently attending Davis Senior High School. And during the duration of this internship, I worked on what I call the no-tilt beverage dispenser. So the inspiration I got from this was really from my family. We had a family gathering just a couple of weeks ago for a holiday we call Eid. And at this party that we were having, we had a beverage dispenser there, and my cousin was using it, but she wasn't getting any of the beverage out from it. And the problem that was occurring was that the beverage was below the spout. And in order to get any of it out, she would have to tilt it forward, which really uh, it's a hassle just to have to like bring it forward where it's something that shouldn't be happening, but it also has the potential to slip and break, which could cause a big ruckus during the family gathering. And uh, sorry, the target audience for this beverage dispenser is for those hosting any kind of party, whether it's like birthday parties or just a family gathering because I see a lot of people using beverage dispensers to hold any kind of beverage like lemonade or fruit punch or anything like that. But it's also really for anyone who uses beverage dispensers in general for like day-to-day basis. I know people use like they drink like lemon water or cucumber water, and I know they use beverage dispensers to dispense the water, and it would the bottom, the last bits of it, they wouldn't be able to get out. So I had interviews with three potential customers, and the questions I asked were, how often do you see beverage dispensers at parties? And all three of them gave the similar answer of like every single time. My second question I had asked was, have you ever used this jug and nothing comes out? And all three of them answered with yes, every single time. And they were also explaining how they would either have to tilt it for anything to come out or nothing would come out at all. And then my final question that I asked them was, what aspects do you like or don't like about these jugs? And what they said was, the first person I interviewed said that they liked how theirs had a little chalkboard so you could label what the drink was, and so that the guests that are attending your party would know what it is and they wouldn't have to question what kind of a drink it is. The second person I questioned said that they didn't like how the spout poured out very slowly. So that was something I figured I need to improve on. And the third person I questioned said that they liked how it was lightweight, but they didn't like that the condensation would start to go around the jug and it would start dripping and making a mess on the table. So my initial ideas and sketches, as you can see on my sketch, the top picture is um, of what you would see on like today's beverage dispensers, where the spout is a little bit higher than where the bottom of the liquid would be. And on the bottom, you can see the two sketches that are drawn are what my initial ideas on my beverage dispenser would look like, where the spout is on the bottom of the jug and the jug is lifted up on a stand. And as you can see on the picture on the left, it's slanted forward, and then on the right you can see how it's like slanted inward, so it all channels to the spout and it'll come out all together. For my prototype, I used a like 1 gallon water bottle, and I also used a children's like carry or traveling water bottle as a spout. And I have like a hand strainer there too, but I wasn't able to get to that. My completed prototype, what I did was I actually flipped the gallon water bottle upside down because it had a perfect conical shape that I could fit the top of the child's water bottle onto, and it made a perfect spout, and all of the liquid would go to the center and it would all come out. And then for the stand, I just used some leftover wood that I had around the house. So I had my prototype run against what the competitors would be having. And so in the upper images, you can see my prototype. On the very left top, you can see my prototype. I forgot to take one when I initially started, but this was like halfway through, and you can see that it's pouring it out at a generous rate. And in the second image, you can see how it was completely emptied, and the third image shows that from the inside where there's not a single drop left. Whereas my competitors, um, I initially started it off with around 3,500 milliliters. And in the second image, you can see around like halfway through, it's really struggling to kind of have any of the liquid coming out. And it also really shows in the third image how it's barely coming out. And you can see it's like halfway at the spout as well. And I measured it afterwards. And afterwards, I measured around 1,700 milliliters were left. So around half of what I poured was left. And I kind of guesstimated a little bit. If you were to fill up the competitor's jug fully, uh, you would have around like a fifth of the liquid that you initially poured still left in if you completely filled it up. Whereas in mine, all of it went through fully. So some next steps that I would take in building this would be to refine and rebuild the stand and jar. So for the stand, I would most likely build it out of metal so that you can easily access the spout. But there's also potential to use wood in there to make it look a little nicer. And for the jar, I would be able to make it out of either glass or plastic, depending on price ranges. And also, if like say you're gonna have like a fancy one, which would be made out of glass for parties, but if you wanted one for a daily basis, you would maybe make it out of a hardened plastic. And then another thing I would add would be like a filter item. So that's what I had the hand strainer for, was to kind of, if you added like cucumbers or any type of berries to kind of make it look nice or add a little bit of flavor, they could sometimes get stuck in the spout. So I wanted something that could kind of filter, like keep those away from the spout so that they wouldn't clog it up. Something else I would add would either be like a plate or a towel underneath the whole jug so that it could catch any of the liquids that like accidentally drip out, or like the condensation that was happening around the jar to kind of help if any of that is dripping. Another thing I would add would be a mini chalkboard. I would probably have this on some sort of string or something like that so that you could take it off if you would want to, for like your daily basis whenever you, if you're the only one who's going to be using it, so you know what's in there. You don't really need a chalkboard. But if you wanted it at a party, you could label it so everyone who's at the party knows what it is. And one other thing I wanted to add was to find a way to stop the condensation. Not exactly sure how I would go about doing that, but I would need to do some more research in that area. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibrahim. So next up, our next intern inventor is Sophia.
Hello, my name is Sophia Perez, and I'm an incoming sophomore at Davis Senior High. And today I will be talking about the product I created during my time with Work Wonder, Comfy Cook, a mobile cookbook for new cooks. Cooking is an essential life skill, yet most people shy away from it. Factors such as people's level of comfort with the kitchen, access to ingredients, and much more can keep people from learning how to cook a meal for themselves. This problem was brought to my attention when my sister purchased a cookbook for beginners. The cookbook went unused, and it made me wonder why. After discussing with my sister, I quickly found out that the problem wasn't the cookbook itself. It was that the cookbook just wasn't a good fit for her comfort level in the kitchen. A cookbook can be intimidating to those who haven't cooked before. My solution is Comfy Cook, a personalized mobile cookbook for those new to the cooking experience. The initial prototype of Comfy Cook was mapped out with sketches on paper. Once I was done, I began interviews with my target audience again. The potential users I interviewed were interested in using Comfy Cook, and they also helped provide food for thought for the app, which allowed me to improve and refine the app further. I made a total of 3 prototypes of Comfy Cook, and today I will be walking you through the latest digital working prototype I've made with balsamic wireframes. So heading over to Balsamic now, here is the home screen or the splash screen of Comfy Cook. So when a user first signs up, they'll be asked questions about their comfort level in the kitchen, such as how comfortable they are with using the stove, their cooking method, any food allergies they have, and cooking appliances they use. When a user signs up, they'll be asked, users who are younger than 12 years of age will need a guardian's email to confirm their account, and the guardian will be sent a unique code that was assigned to the child when they signed up. The child will then need to enter this code in the app to confirm they have permission from their guardian to use Comfy Cook. Here's the home screen, where users get daily recipes for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From from recipes filtered to the user's comfort level in the kitchen. The user can also search for recipes using the search bar. Here in the search menu, let's look up a recipe for scrambled eggs. Recommended recipes will show up with the green border for the user. And recipe pages will show the user cooking methods used and the difficulty level for the recipe, along with other common elements found in a recipe. Towards the bottom of the screen, the user will be given the option to document their work by taking a picture of what they created. Right. The picture will then be added to the user's food gallery in the app, and recipes users have made more than once will show up in a stack-like format. The user is then given the option to either download photos or share them with friends and family. Lastly, in the settings page, as a user makes food with My Cookbook, their comfort level with cooking with the oven or stove and the cooking appliances they use will adjust with them as they make more recipes. So that concludes my walkthrough of my latest prototype of Comfy Cook. Now going back to the presentation, I will explain my next steps. So as for the next steps for my Comfy Cook, I plan to build the app and deploy it in the Play Store. And then soon after, I plan to host trial runs with users. And then I plan to use the feedback I receive from users to continue to improve the app. And after, I plan to reach out to nutritionists to have them help me provide me with even more feedback and possibly even help in promoting Comfy Cook to some more patients. Thank you for watching.
Thank you so much, Sophia. So our next and our last intern inventor speaking today is Jamie.
Thank you, Angela. One moment, please. All right. All right. Hello, my name is Jamie Aldis. I am a rising senior at Da Vinci Charter Academy, and I will be presenting to you about the product I've been working on this past summer, the Z-Box. I have a problem which a lot of people today deal with. I have trouble waking up in the morning. I've tried using the default phone app on my phone or a regular machine alarm clock, and I tend to just snooze and go back to sleep for an hour. When my phone is right at my bedside, I'll just put the phone down. I've tried putting my phone on the other side of my room and forcing myself to walk to my bed, and that has better results, but otherwise I still tend to just snooze my alarm and go back to sleep for an hour or maybe 15 minutes. So I wanted to make a new method for waking up in the morning, combining what worked about the methods I tried, and I wanted my product to be a tool to assist said method. The entire idea of the Z-Box is that it's basically a box that you can hang on your wall in your room, and it would hold your cell phone at night. You might be wondering how this applies to sleep. My entire concept is that before bed, you could put your phone in this box, and which has the additional help of discouraging you from using your phone before you go to bed. And in the morning, whatever alarm app you use on your phone will go off, and the product forces you to get up out of bed, walk to the Z-Box, and stand to turn off your alarm. The audience is any phone-dependent individuals who have trouble sleeping. And this idea went through several evolutions throughout the summer. I was initially thinking about creating a companion alarm app inspired by a previous app I had tried before. And my app would have an option to force users to solve puzzles in order to turn off their alarm. And it would also have options for in the evening when you're going to bed to play calming music or ambience to help the user go to sleep. I was considering having the Z-Box have electronics on it, for example, having fidget toys like buttons or levers that would connect to the previously mentioned alarm app that would also help the user wake up in the morning. I was considering having a Bluetooth speaker on my product and phone charger on my product to also assist with the cell phone. In doing market research, I told some family and friends about my idea, And I interviewed them asking 3 main questions. What's their current method for waking up in the morning? What do they like about my idea? And what concerns do they have about my idea? Most of the people I talked to said that they use the default phone alarm app, whether that's the Android alarm app or the Apple alarm app, depending on what kind of phone they have. And maybe they'll have some backup alarms on either their app or on a physical machine alarm clock. One of my people I interviewed said that. Other factors that were mentioned was exercise and the sound alarm their alarm made. Some things that the people I interviewed liked were about my product were that it discourages the customer from using their cell phone and that it's a physical thing for someone to interact with. Some concerns were how my product would mount to the wall, and because my previous evolutions of my idea involved electricity, how would my product need power and how would the electronics work? Here's my sketch prototype. Based on the feedback I got and because of those various evolutions of my idea previously, I decided to stick to just creating a minimum viable product like this, a box on the wall. The box opens via a door, which you can slip your phone into. It's got pockets that you can put your phone in, and the door would be made of plastic, some sort of transparent material that a person could interact with their phone with through. There's tabs on the top of the box with holes for nails to hang the box on your wall. Yeah, so moving on to building the prototype, because my sketch was of my product's MVP, I decided to stick with creating my prototype with simple materials I could find around my house, most notably cardboard. So I started out with drawing out my shape on cardboard, as you can see on the left, and I cut that out with an X-Acto knife and hot glued it together to create the box you see on the right image. To make the different parts of the door, I found a folder that I have that's see-through and plastic, and I tested beforehand to see if I could interact with my phone through it, if it was covering my phone screen. It did work, so I cut out a shape, used that on my door, and found some cloth to use as a pocket to put my phone in, and the result of that is what you can see in the right image there. Here's my final prototype. As you can see, I changed the tab on the top a little bit so that from my sketch prototype, so that there's more adaptability for if you want to hang your product with 1 nail or 2. And I was able to add in the phone charger at the end by just having a hole at the bottom of my product that the customer could thread their phone charger through. In terms of next steps, a big next step for me would be recreating my prototype with less flimsy material, especially the door of the Z-Box. Currently, it does hold my phone, but a concern I have right now is whether it would still be able to hold the weight of my phone over time. And better materials would be helpful, like something sturdier than cardboard or having a different material to create the fabric, or just a separate kind of mount to make sure the phone is held flush to the door. Another really big next step I need to take would be testing my product with different alarm apps to actually see if it helps me wake up in the morning, if it actually fulfills its goal. After creating a sturdier prototype and testing my MVP, I would like to create a design that improves upon my prototype, that adds in aspects of my previous idea evolutions that I really liked, like my alarm app idea and the Bluetooth speakers maybe. And then I would like to make my product more visually appealing so that it could also just look nice to have on someone's bedroom wall, such as painting the product in calm, neutral colors, or maybe changing the shape of the product once it's tested to be functional. There was a point in time where I was jokingly thinking of having my product shaped like a Z. Who knows if that'll happen, but that could be another thing that could make my product look more visually appealing. Thank you for watching.
All right. Well, thank you to our 10 interns for presenting, and we can move on to questions. So the first question we have is, What is one takeaway that you have from this product invention experience? Ibrahim?
Yeah, Gary Pearson here. Of all the presentations, I love the creativity. I loved how all of you took a basic concept idea and developed it. And just listening to the presentations, knowing a few of you from when we first started way back in February and going through all of this process, I see such a vast improvement in all of you. And that's just inspiring to me. All the products, all the presentations are all phenomenal. You know, I think of the things that I do in my everyday world, and having great ideas and how you've all pursued them has been extremely great to see. So I compliment highly all of you, and in all seriousness, I compliment you highly.
Thank you for that, Gary. All right, Ibrahim, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest takeaways I got from this internship was really to kind of put myself into like customer's shoes, because before I would kind of really think about, oh, do I want that product or no? But now I'm kind of thinking of how can I improve this product and like make something better from that product, you know? And I feel like it really changed up my mindset in a very good way.
I definitely agree. Do we have any more? Jamie?
I do. I feel like
You can go first, Oliver.
Sorry. I feel like one of the bigger takeaways I had from this internship was looking to find a product and then creating that product under a particular budget, which was really hard in my end, but I feel like having that budget product creativity amongst all of us here.
Jamie, go ahead.
This isn't specific to the product invention experience. This is just overall in my internship experience here. A big thing that we had was the equity and social justice workshops, which Oliver mentioned in one of his slides. That was a big, I got a lot of takeaways from that experience, and I learned a lot of useful skills that I can use in the future, both in my future like careers and just in life. I thought that was a really big thing that I learned from.
Do we have any more answers? Angela?
Yeah, I would just say kind of in all, it taught me a lot of just like how to better my time management skills. And just this was a really cool experience because it's so different from anything I've ever done before. And it really just taught me, and I think matured me in a lot of ways. And what Ibrahim was saying about just like the whole like putting yourself in the shoes of the person inventing, you really had to think outside the box and not just think of, oh, like I like this, but like you have to be like, oh, okay, I like this, how would I have to do it? And sometimes certain ideas don't work out, and then you have to just think of different ways, and it really just helps. And then there's so much time, you don't realize how much time goes into stuff like this. So I think my time management skills improved and everything, and planning skills and everything.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Tavita, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I have a question if it's okay to ask a question. Well, first
Yeah,
I
go
want to
ahead.
say everyone it was amazing. I found I found myself wanting to either purchase or invest in everything. So I'm excited to kind of see if anybody takes their product somewhere past this time. My question is, I loved the photo presentations of your product, and I was wondering, did anybody actually videotape their product and use to kind of see it in real time, and just have that somewhere kind of off to the side? Because I was so interested in going, wow, I would love to have seen them like demo it in a video. So I was just wondering, did anybody do that and kind of have that somewhere stored for themselves?
Yeah, I have it. I recorded it on my phone.
Cool. Yeah,
It's
I would
actually
love.
kind of, I was trying to figure out how to get in the presentation, but I couldn't.
Okay, well, I think that Harlan had something to say. If you want to unmute.
I have a question for the group, which might actually be a bit similar to what Harlan is going to ask. I'm not totally sure if Harlan you want to ask it or I can go ahead. But I was basically going to ask the group, what are some challenges that you all faced throughout this internship, throughout product invention? Paris, do you want to go first?
Sure, thank you, Jamie. So one challenge was mainly at the beginning of this internship. I wasn't really sure what to expect when going into product invention. So I was a little nervous, like, oh, do I need to have everything prepared on the first day? But finding a product to innovate or create that hasn't been like recreated a bunch on the internet is a very hard thing to do. So I think that aspect, but working in a group with everyone here, everyone is so supportive and just really helps you take it to the next level. And as Angela said, think outside the box. So yeah, that was one challenge that I had, but yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that I definitely didn't know what we were going to go into in this internship too. Danica, do you want to go next?
Yeah, as you guys already know, my first prototype it did fail a bit. But my frustrations weren't as much the prototype failing. It was more of me dealing with like frustration and how to work around it. I've always thought of myself as a very creative and problem-solving person, but when I was faced with this challenge, I realized that in that situation, I wasn't as adept at problem solving as I had thought I was. And I think that I do need to expand out a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah, David, would you like to go next?
Yeah, so throughout the building process of my prototype, I found myself switching materials and switching up, adding things to my design, and which that is a really good step in the design and building process. It was very challenging for me because just thinking about what I need to make to better my product was hard, and I was asking my dad for support on some of the things, and he was very helpful to what he would use, since he's a musician himself. He was giving me help on what he would use and how he would practice with it. So my dad was very helpful, and I overcame all these challenges, and it was a fun process.
I'll pass off to Berenice to answer, and then I will pass off to David. And after David asks one more question, I believe we'll be opening up for other people to ask us interns questions. So Berenice, would you like to go?
Yes, thank you, Jamie. A challenge I definitely faced was probably like believing in myself at first and like just getting comfortable to the point where I could like trust myself with this whole project. But I definitely like overcame that over time, and like it just got better as I kept working on my product invention.
Thank you for all your responses. I'll pass it off to David to ask one more question.
Yeah, thank you, Jamie. The next question I have for us interns is what are the next steps we are taking for our products, and where do we think that we will be continuing in bettering and improving our products? Berenice, is your hand still up?
Oh no, my bad.
Gary, do you want to answer?
Yeah. All of you have experienced what it's taken me some 65 years to figure out, and you just started. You know how many times I failed in trying to think of creative ideas and creative solutions. And I feel so inspired by all of you that have taken those steps to really find something and follow it through. And I might say this is one start. And from those experiences, you'll learn how to problem solve, believe me. You have a lifetime to do it, and all of the different things. And you've worked so hard within your group, all 10 of you, and plus the other interns and the other folks that support you. See, that's how you do these product development kinds of things. So, hey, keep on the journey. That's all.
Thank you. Oliver, you had something to say?
Since school's coming up, I can actually get a hold of more product and use the woodshop tools and use metal. So then I can actually get a better product in my hand and test it out.
Yeah, thank you. And would anybody else like to answer?
I have something to say. I was just gonna say the next step for mine, I think right now I just have like natural ingredients and everything, but I think hopefully that'd be really cool if I could get like some sort of medicine or something to make it probably the process to become a little better. I don't know how I would do that. I'd probably have to get some like license or something, but I think that'd be really cool. Or like I was kind of saying in my presentation, like getting different flavors, because right now it's basically just like doesn't have a flavor. And then definitely when I have canker sores, to use them up and see how well they work, especially too.
Felipe, would you like to go next?
Yeah. So I would definitely want to be continuing my product. My next steps are, as I said in the presentation, but also like getting funding for making new prototypes and like starting to see different suppliers, how they can provide a material and how they manufacture it, and also getting the idea out to more people, seeing who can be on a team to do this and sort of expand.
Thank you guys for answering the questions, and I'll be passing it on to Paras.
Thank you, David. So at this time, we'd like to invite the audience to ask us interns some questions that they might have.
Awesome. I know we had some questions that were on YouTube. Harlan, do you want to ask them? Because we just joined.
Yeah, so I was wondering if anyone wanted to share something that might have hit the cutting room floor for you personally, some idea that you had that ended up being impractical or just didn't work out, too crazy, too weird, or something that you were trying to do and you're like, this is fine. This maybe for somebody else or something like that. I just wondered what process you went through in your own head to let that go.
Well, initially I did plan on making another product. I tried making like a automatic cat food dispenser for like wet food, because I know I go on vacation sometimes and I gotta like call up family, friends, or someone else to come and feed her and take care of her. But I was kind of just thinking like, is there a way that I could kind of automate that, set it up on like a little station where it opens up the cans, or even have like prepared bags or something where I already opened it up. But it was really just like kind of hard to think of something that would like either open up a can, and I felt like on the budget that I had, I wouldn't be able to make it, especially with time wise as well. I wouldn't really have enough time to be able to think of something like that. But that's what I was initially going for, and it just kind of got shot down.
Cool, I like it. Oliver, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so my original idea was to create an app, so I can't say too much about it, but it was to be better than Zillow and have better features on it. And I realized I don't have enough time to program, get a team running up, do a beta test. So I was like, I'm gonna stick to something else, and it ended pretty well. But my other idea is still working on it, and we're almost done.
Cool.
David, did you want to contribute?
Sorry, I didn't mean to leave my hand up.
Oh, that's okay. If there aren't any more questions, I'll pass it off to Berenice.
Thank you, Faraz. This concludes our showcase. Thank you so much for attending and for showing support. We really appreciate everyone who is here. Big shout out to Bea Group, Davis Joint Unified School District, Tavita from the social justice and the workplace sessions throughout the internship, friends and family who are watching us live on YouTube, and all other mentors throughout the internship. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching. It's been great. And yes, we're all going to actually celebrate now. I'm going to turn off the live on YouTube, but thanks for joining us. If you haven't subscribed, I'm going to make a plug. Please do subscribe to our Bea Group channel on YouTube. And thanks, everyone. This is our first product invention group. You're the first cohort of the internship. So thanks, everyone, for all of your products and sharing with us. Bye, everyone. Okay, but don't go, you guys.